Okie dokies. Today I would just like to talk a little bit about black powder and black powder shooting. If you're a gun collector of any kind, especially a serious gun collector, or even if you just like to go shooting every now and then, you kinda gotta get a black powder firearm. It's kinda necessary. You just have to have one in your collection. Whether it be a black powder rifle, revolver, musket, whatever. You gotta get one. Even if you never shoot it, you just need one in your collection. Now, as you see, I have both a black powder rifle and a black powder revolver. And I love both of them. They're awesome. These are easily two of my favorite firearms in my entire collection. Easily two of my favorites. The rifle is a .45. The revolver is a .44. I have fired the rifle a couple of times, and let me just tell you, not too much kick, but it is very powerful. Very powerful. The one thing about these black powder things is that you can overload them, and they will blow up on you if you don't load them the correct way. I have the octagon barrels on both the rifle and the revolver, so if I overload them like a couple of times, it's no big deal. They won't blow up. But if I overload them and overload them and overload them again and again and again, eventually the barrel is going to crack or blow up or something very, very bad. So what I suggest is getting one of these powder measures, and if you have the correct powder measure for the firearm that you're shooting, it's not a big deal. Now this one is for a .50 caliber black powder rifle, which I do not have. I have a .45 caliber. So what I do is I fill it up to like maybe there, like somewhere in the middle, and that's more than enough to make it go bang and blow up anything you want. So that's cool. Now for the 45, I'm sorry, not for the 45, for the 44 revolver, I suggest getting a 45 ACP casing, filling that right up to the top, and loading it that way. Because that's just about the right amount of powder for the 44. And a lot of people agree with that. They say, hey, you know, if you don't have a powder measure, just get a 45 ACP casing, fill that up, and you're good to go. And yeah, that works well. Now, we were talking about ammo. Let me just show you. Whoops, backwards. Open. Come on. Okay, we have these little round balls. These are made of lead, and they're pretty heavy. They're like, I'm not even gonna attempt to tell you how much they weigh. Excuse me, I have a little sore throat. Now this is what I use. 440 round ball for both the 45 rifle and the 44 caliber revolver. The thing is, when picking out a projectile for a black powder firearm, you want something that doesn't just slide down the barrel. You want something that like sits on top and does not go down the barrel. You want to actually have to physically jam it down the barrel. And you should see like little lead shavings around the opening of the barrel from you pushing it in. That's good. That's a nice tight seal. That's what you want. because if it just falls down the barrel, you know, that's not so great. It's not going to be as good as something that's a little bit tighter. I mean, hey, tighter is always better, right? Oh my god. I apologize. Anyway, moving on to powder. I like to use Pyrodex because, well, for one, I think it's a little bit cheaper than actual black powder. And this is the equivalent of black powder, only Pyrodex is a hell of a lot cleaner to shoot. So yeah, and you know, you get a whole big bunch of it. Also, to fire these black powder firearms, you will also need caps. Let me just zoom in. I can't. Anyway, basically, well, let me get one out. Okay, the little cap. Basically, what these are is, well, all right. Just a little example. If you have like a modern day firearm, just look at the back of your like 9mm or your 45 ACP or any firearm you have, and look at the back of the, and you know, just look at the back of the round, and you'll see a little primer, and that's basically what this is. It's a primer. And if I were to put this on my black powder revolver or rifle and cock it back and fire it, these aren't loaded, by the way, because it's never good to store a black powder firearm loaded, because the black powder will eventually corrode and fuck up your gun. So that's not good. Now, that being said, what was I talking about? Oh, anyway, these just spark your powder. These caps, they just spark your powder and make your firearm go bang, and it hopefully drops whatever you're aiming at. Also, you may notice I have these here. Let me get one out. I have a scratchy throat. These are little wads that you want to put in between the powder and the ball to keep the powder dry, especially if you're loading your firearm and you don't plan on shooting it anytime soon, like you're going to wait a couple of hours or maybe even a day or two to shoot. Like, I don't know why you would do that, but anyway, this keeps the moisture out of the powder. This is very good, especially if it's like raining out or just damp out. Your powder is going to get wet if you don't fire your firearm. You know, just not good. There is another thing for the black powder revolvers. It's called bore butter, which is basically just a gooey thing like Vaseline or petroleum jelly or Crisco. Just something you put right here in front of the, just in front of the cylinder to prevent chain firing. Or if you don't want to do that, you could just use these wads. You don't need to buy the bore butter if you don't want to. You just get these, they're cheaper, and you get a bunch. But some people like to use the bore butter and the wads just to be really careful or precautious or whatever you want to say. Me, I'm happy with just the wads, but occasionally I'll put some bore butter. Bore butter. That's a funny word. Anyway, that's pretty much it. If you want to talk about prices, if you're interested in a black powder rifle, you get them on Cabela's for between, I think, 300 is the cheapest. Now, I haven't been on Cabela's to look at these rifles in months, so I'm not sure. So like, let's say like 300 to $1,000 for one of these rifles. Very nice. I have this one hanging on my wall in my room actually. Very nice. For a black powder rifle, I think the cheapest one on Cabela's is 120. I think the cheapest one on Cabela's is 120 for a black powder revolver. I paid 262, I think. So this is not the cheapest black powder revolver they have, not by any means. This is a 1958. 1958? What the fuck? I'm sorry. 1858 New Army revolver. How new is that, right? 1858. That's brand spanking new, baby. But no, it's an 1858 New Army revolver. This is actually the same type of revolver that Clint Eastwood used in the movie Pale Rider. So, I mean, that's kind of why I bought it, because I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan. Awesome. Yeah. Anyway, just figured I'd make this video. Oh, also, if you're going to get into black powder shooting, you're going to need to invest in a one of these military cases and store all your black powder black powder. I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Store all your black powder and your wads and your primers in the box, and they will not get wet. You know, the moisture won't get to them. These boxes are great. You gotta get them. You go to Cheaper Than Dirt, and you could like order a couple of them for like, I'm not going to say how much because I have no idea how much they charge. Probably like $10 or $20 or something. But they're I gotta tell you, they are worth it. Anyway, though, that's it for this video. I'm just rambling now, as always.